Hi.
Hi.
I'm happy to be here. I just want to say I'm a fan of the Metaphysical Library for yet another reason besides all the wonderful ones Nikki just said. I have been, my husband was, a collector of books. And so, like about every year, we would have to add a bookcase, like for years and years. And I discovered that for all those books that I can't give away because I might need them, when I donate them here, if I do need them, they're here. So it actually freed me up to like let go of lots and lots of books. I love that about being here. If you've got a lot of books, you might think of that. It's a good way to still have access. So my talk is about my only resolution is honoring my true self. Maybe, like me, you have a history of lots of resolutions that have gone by the wayside. Maybe? I think that it's this time of year, you know, whether you call them intentions or resolutions or goals, there is a power to setting it at the beginning of the year and kind of getting a fresh start and heading out there. And I've noticed for myself that often within a month or 3 or sometimes a week, those become weapons that I just bludgeon myself with because I set myself up again to fail. Is that familiar? Can you see a few nodded heads here? And so people have different responses to that. I have a lot of people who say, I just don't make resolutions anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore because it's a self-destructive behavior. And that's an option. It's an option. I think the ones that are the challenge is that not setting intentions most likely leads to not having results. You know, the value of having an intention and setting intention, whether you do it at New Year's or some other time, is that you're putting your whole psyche and energy in a direction that says, I'm headed here. And there's immense power to doing that. So when you just go, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore, well, you lose that option for moving forward. And I think the thing that is the most difficult for me are the ones that I've said as absolute. You know, the absolute, I'm never eating sugar again. Has anybody ever said that? Like, I don't know, 20 years in a row. I'm gonna walk every single day. You know, all of the always and nevers are kind of guaranteed failures. But there's some data around all of this that I just kind of want to start out with, that 40% of Americans set some sort of intention or resolution. 25% of those fail within the first month. About 9% succeed for the whole year. So that's a little daunting. You know, it's like, those are not good odds. But here's an encouraging fact that goes with it. People who make resolutions or intentions are 10 times more likely to succeed than the ones who don't. So it's okay. We just need to refine how we do this in a way that actually serves us and supports us. Because I don't know about you, but I want to be one of the 9%. I want to get to the end of the year and go, did that. But I don't want to do that at the expense of my own self-love and self-care. And for me, I would just like to see that set as the frame for every single thing that I'm setting as intention. It has to go through this filter that says, can I beat myself up with this? Well, given the number of ways I can beat myself up, I have to word it really carefully to make sure that it's not one. So we'll talk about that some. But there are many ways. I mean, I think some of what I'm doing in setting intentions is that I'm wanting better habits. You know, a habit is really a behavior that's like hardwired and almost automatic. So like I mean, brushing your teeth. You know, if you learn how to do as a child, and you know how to brush and floss and, you know, water pick and those things, and you do it every single day in the morning and in the evening, that's a habit. And so if you go to bed and forget to brush your teeth, you're lying in bed going, I'm getting up. It's not right. That's because it has become an ingrained habit. And that's really what we want with doing the behaviors that are going to carry us forward. We want them to get to the place where this is just like what I do. I get up in the morning, I drink my coffee, I do my meditation, I put on my shoes and walk out the door and go for a walk. You know, when I have that, like that becomes like how I start every day. When I don't do it, it feels weird. That's when it's become a habit. So, could you just throw out some of what those habits are that you're seeking this year? Just anybody?
Better sleep.
Better sleep. That's mine too.
I know.
That's my intention.
Eating Mediterranean style.
Mediterranean style eating.
Less sugar.
Less sugar.
Yeah.
Stretching every day.
Stretching every day.
Doing less mind numbing activities.
Less mind numbing. That's like TV, games,
Video games.
scrolling.
I second that one.
Hallmark movies.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Another one of those.
Ditto on
Yeah.
Choosing to be kind.
Choosing to be kind. Yes.
Passionate. Passionate.
Passionate. Ooh, that's a good one. I'm also watching less political YouTube videos. I've actually been doing that for several months now because I was pretty hardwired into that, like, you know, cheering for the bad guys to go down, and, you know, wasn't being very helpful. So there is, if we're going to build a habit, I just want to talk about this for a little while. If we're going to build a new habit, there's a what they call a habit loop. It's the cue, and then I have to get one right. I can't even read my writing here. The routing, the route that you go, and then the reward. So there is something that triggers the beginning of this behavior. There's a path that you follow every single time to get there, and with some reward at the end. That's it's like rats in a maze. You know, the research where the researcher puts a piece of chocolate in the maze, and the rats go looking for it. They can smell it, so they're like looking everywhere. But when they finally find it, the next time you put the rat in the maze, they go right there. They actually, in the research, the cue is the click that goes when they drop them into the box. It goes click, run to find the chocolate, and then even after they take the chocolate out, the rats will still do that exact same behavior. It's you know, it's getting it wired in. So if we want to change a habit, you can interrupt it at any of those points in the cycle. So the cue, all through the pandemic, I had 2 girlfriends that I would talk to about 3 times a week. They were in different cities, but we would have a phone call. It was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or I guess at the time it was at 5 o'clock, which signaled to me, pour a glass of wine and sit down. You know, I'm going to sit here and chat with my girlfriends for an hour, pour a glass of wine. 5 o'clock is the cue. The phone call is also a cue, but I can, 5 o'clock is just like, must be time for a glass of wine. So it can be a time of day. It can be a situation. It's like, every time I, clean the house, I want to sit down outside and have a cigarette, or whatever it is. You've linked it to an event, or a time, or a reward. There's that when I do this, I get to go get an ice cream. That's when I've done the thing. So that what we're doing is, if we take away the cue that interrupts the cycle. Well, maybe the cue is just something you do, like sitting down. So the cue is going to happen. So what you want to do is the routing, the way that your brain is cycling around this activity. What would be an example of how to do that? Well, I think that this is one that I watched my husband do for years and years, is like after dinner, he wants ice cream every day. And it's okay with him if it's a Weight Watchers fudgesicle, but it just got something cold and sweet. It's like it's a thing. And so in changing the behavior, what he would do is save some of his dinner. So he would eat some of his dinner, and then it wouldn't be time for ice cream because he hadn't finished his dinner. And so he would, read his book or watch TV or whatever he's going to do, and then it would, when he's like still thinking this, oh no, I have to finish my dinner. And then of course, like the researchers that take the chocolate away, there's always taking away the reward. But it doesn't really work to take away the reward. What works is better is to replace the reward, like this, and for it to really work, you need to have the new reward be in some way better than the old reward. But that's, if you're going to get rid of sugar, you can't let go of that sugar and I'll just have this other sugar. Or, I'm going to have this like sugar-free popsicle, but it doesn't taste very good. Come on in, there's some seats kind of scattered around here. It's like we have, a track in our brain, and what we're trying to do is like separate behavior, but let's build some new neural pathways in our brain that take us down a different path, because that old track led you to the same results every single time. So this is, are you seeing this in the light of the intentions you're thinking about? Like, how do I do this differently? And I think smart, we figured this out. We can find a way to do it differently to get a different kind of result. So, Jenna.
I know my thing was, being kind. And what I try to do is if I notice that I'm having a critical thought of something or somebody, I just say, none of my business. And that changes the route, right? It changes the route. And then I feel better about myself because I just thought of that as like a mind example.
Perfect example.
One of the things that gets in our way or makes us more likely to fail at our intention is stress.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever noticed that when you're under stress, like specifically for me in relation to eating, I don't want the the healthy thing that's going to have to chop the carrots and all stuff. So I want to just get something and eat it, and I'd like it to be delicious right now. But that's a stress kind of response, and so that the amount of stress that we have in our life adds to the likelihood of failing. I guess that's what I want to say. And it adds to the likelihood of failing, and so. What that stress leads to is needing an immediate dopamine kind of response. So I need something that's going to make me feel better right now. And it's hard to have a conversation with yourself in that moment about what your long-term goals are, because what you want is that fix in that moment. And it seems like those are often related to food and sugar and deliciousness, but also to substances, to cigarettes, to alcohol, to marijuana, to whatever your substance of choice is. That in that moment, this day has been so awful, I need a glass of wine. Have you ever said that? I have.
Oh no.
A time or two, maybe with you. Or I remember having a really difficult conversation with a person that I worked with a number of years ago, and I had not smoked for about 4 years at that point. We were sitting outside at a Starbucks, and it ended badly, and she walked away, got in her car, and stormed off. I walked straight over to CVS, bought myself a pack of cigarettes, and sat down and smoked one. I mean, just like nothing went through my brain except I need it. And then I had to quit all over again. It took weeks, but. It's that it was the stress of the situation that led to needing that. In addition to the stress leading to the bad behaviors or to the use of, particularly of substances, the substances themselves are addictive. So they introduce a chemical reaction in your body that
exacerbates all of that. So then you're like sort of doubly damned. So what we want is to switch instant fix to delayed gratification. You may well have heard about this study because I remember reading about it years ago. It's called the marshmallow experiment. You heard about the marshmallow experiment? The research project was with small children, that the researchers would take each child into a different room, and they would give them, they would put a marshmallow on the table and say, you are free to eat this, but I'm gonna leave for a few minutes, and if you don't eat it before I come back, I will give you a second marshmallow. And so, as you can imagine, some of the kids had that marshmallow in their mouth before the researcher was even out of the room. And then the cameras were kind of funny because there were a bunch of them that would just fidget, and stare at it, and poke at it, and, and then some 5 or 6 minutes into it, they'd just go. And then there were this group of kids that really did delay the gratification and when the researcher came back in, they got a second marshmallow. And the study, I'm trying to remember who did it. I wrote it down, but I didn't write it on the right piece of paper. The thing that was particularly interesting about this is that they followed those children and did a follow-up study many years later. Like they did it about 10 years later, and they also did it 40 years later. So this original study was done like this late 50s. The kids who had the ability to do delayed gratification were far more successful in their relationships, in their careers, in their life decisions. They were much less obese. They were much less ill, because that skill of being able to delay gratification carried them through many things. It makes me think, as a parent, that teaching delayed gratification is really worth it. That like, if you can do this until, for 10 more minutes, I'll give you another one. The stress has us choose for the right now, but not for the delayed choice. But the delayed choice in many of the things we're talking about in terms of habits, the delayed choice is I want to live longer. I want to live healthier. I want to enjoy my life. You don't brush your teeth in the morning so your teeth will look good that day. Well, you may want to get the spinach out. But really, we brush our teeth every day because we want to have teeth for the rest of our life. We're doing it for a long-term delayed gratification kind of goal. And those are the ones that really, to take on those goals that for which the long-term result is the self-love that my original idea was to talk about. That self-care requires us to take that broader perspective, to step back and look at what is the big picture here? What is it I'm really trying to do? And when I can do that, if I can get that broader perspective, I can often get my butt out of the chair, put on my tennis shoes, and walk out the door like I agreed I was going to do, or whatever the activity is. But I have to be able to step and to see that bigger picture of what the future is. So can you see that with the intentions you're thinking about in your mind right now for this year? That ability to just step back and look at a broader outcome, the really why I'm doing this. So that's the thing that I think is the filter that I would like to see you consider, is the filter of why am I doing this? How does this actually serve me? And really serve my higher self, not just the me that wants flat abs by summer, that really serves my health and well-being and spiritual growth. What is that? How does this serve that? And once I know that, once I can make that connection that says, doing this leads me to this. And, at this moment in my life, it took me to age 74 to decide that I needed to live longer. So I did a lot of things that did not encourage that behavior for many years, but now I'm in a place in my life where it's like, no, I want to stretch this out a ways. So those are the things that's the perspective that I think leads me to just caring about me. If you don't start from a place of self-love, it's hard to get there. So the places where we silently, probably not out loud, sometimes out loud, but generally we're hardest on ourselves and the conversations we have inside our heads. That was so stupid, why did I do that? Those kinds of conversations are like, you're never gonna get there. Who do you think you are? All of that goes on inside our head, that is also a habit loop that is really worth breaking. Because we can't get to the honoring who we are, why would we even do it? You know, why would we even take on something unless it actually really serves our soul's journey? So that means probably the best place to start is to figure out what it is that serves my soul's journey, don't you think? What is it that I need in my life that or what? Let me not say it that way. What is it that would support me in expanding who I am and who I came here to be? So it goes back to that stress conversation, because they're actually things that are de-stressors, that not distressors, de-stressors, and the three main ones are sleep. Getting adequate sleep, because it's linked to health, and without sleep you're not cognitively functioning at the level that you could. You're not physically as able, and you're tired. So handling that one is a big one. I'll just tell you as an aside, that is one of my goals for this year, because I have had not great sleep behavior. Actually really like it when I wake up at like 3 a.m, because from the time when I was raising little children, that's the time nobody could bother me, you know, the phone's not gonna ring, nobody's got me to do anything, it's my time. And my coffee pot is preset for 5:30 in the morning, so when I wake up at 3, I'm just 2.5 hours. And you know, it's not that I couldn't get up and like turn on the coffee pot right then, but it did, so you can't override the automatic part, but in my mind, that should stay in bed until that long. So I do things that support me staying awake. You know, I play with my eye friends. I play with my dog. My dog will wake up the minute I wake up, and he's right there. So I play with the dog. You know, I get to go to the bathroom. All these things that are not geared towards going back to sleep. And I often don't go back to sleep. I often just then I'm awake. So I want to change that behavior. Because I want to live a long, full, happy life. There's a long-term goal in there. There's some specific tasks that go with that. You got a head start because I talked to you on the phone today about all these things. I'm nodding. So one for me is to take my eye friends out and plug them in a different room. Now my eldest child is about to have my first grandchild, so I kind of worried about having my phone be in the other room. But I can buy a burner phone. We can figure this out. But that's one. I think I'm also going to move my dog out of the room and have him sleep in the crate in the living room. And I'm going to like close the curtains and make sure it's darker. And all of those things. Have a cup of tea before I go to bed. All of those things, this is only day 2, so I'm like proud of myself. So far, good. But I want to improve sleep so that I can lower stress. I lead a pretty low stress life. That's what retirement's all about, I think. The second thing that helps to de-stress us is exercise. I think we know that in our mind. We know that from everything that we've read. We know that from the experience of having done it. And yet, it's so easy to get busy or to get lazy or to just like, oh, not today, oh, it's raining. I mean, it's all of the reasons that we don't go outside, we don't go to the gym, we don't do whatever it is, we don't do our stretches, or just the things that get in our way. But the goal is to lower the stress level. The third one is meditation. That meditation or getting a massage or things that carry your energy to a quieter place. Sometimes that's just walking in nature as well. But I'm a big fan of meditation because it's portable. You can do it anywhere, anytime. And it's available to do that. And it works. It works. So the thing that I would like to invite you to do is to spend a little time looking at what your cues are. What are the things that initiate the breakdown moments? And then focus on replacement. What is it that would replace that behavior? What is the reward that I can replace that with? And then to step into that broader perspective about why am I doing this? What is it that I'm doing? For why? For what reason? And then we're back to that honoring our essential self. I want to be sure when I'm making that commitment in the first place that this is a change that actually honors my true self. That this thing that I'm thinking about is not just for somebody else, for a reason that actually is vain and egotistical and not essential to my soul. But just run it through that filter. The example I remembered was one time that my resolution was I was going to save money to go to my high school reunion. Which I did, and it was terrible. It was not life-affirming at all. It was like, why did I think this was the thing I wanted to do? So the goal itself did not serve what I was trying to do. Eliminate all of the always and never. That every single day, I'm never going to do this again. I'm only going to do this every single day of my life. And then reframe as self-care. Reframe why it is I'm doing this is reframe the actual language. So when I like language that says I'm going to stop doing this, reword that in that now I'm going to do this. So because you say I'm going to stop watching TV, then watching TV are the words that your brain heard. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to start reading a book at night. So it's changing the behavior, but it's stating the change, not the behavior you're not wanting to change. And affirm who you actually are. This is I guess the biggest job for all of us in life is to honor who I am, appreciate who I am, not who I want to be and am not, but who I actually am, warts and all. It's that even though I'm not perfect, I am lovable. I am successful. I am capable. Even though I don't know how to use an electric screwdriver, I am capable. I don't. I'm trying to learn. Does that make sense to you? That if you can't get there, it's hard to get through the rest of it. The starting from the what is it that I actually do honor and respect about myself. And if there are things that you want to honor and respect about yourself, start languaging it that way. Start talking about it as, I am capable, I am strong, I have integrity, I do good things. I'm a kind person. All of those things, even if there's a little, thing in the back of your head that's like, that's not totally true. Say it out loud. Repetition helps bring you to the place of believing, and it's actually the truth of who you are. When you unlayer all of the things that you've told yourself about who you are, you actually are all of those things. That actually is who you are. I'd like to carry you on a little self-love meditation before we end tonight, to just like put yourself in that space. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's me.
So I'd just like to invite you to put down anything that you have in your hands. And just good meditation behavior, sit up straight. See that string that goes from the top of your head all the way to the heavens. And cross your feet. And maybe open your hands and just, give yourself a little open body. And when you're ready, just close your eyes or take a soft focus. And begin by taking a deep breath, holding it at the top, and letting it go with a sigh. Let's do that again. Hold it. We do this again, and this time make it a big sigh. Just begin to feel all of the concerns and stresses of the day begin to just fall away. And that with every exhale, you're letting go of anything that is really worth letting go of. It's not going to serve you. The to-do list. The woulda, coulda, shouldas. Just let go. And find yourself in your body. Where is your consciousness at this moment in your body? Is it in your head? Is it in your throat? It could be in your stomach. Wherever you find that at this moment, begin to move it into your heart space. Just move your awareness from your head to your heart, or from your stomach to wherever it is. Begin to see yourself in that fourth chakra heart space. And see yourself surrounded by the pure light of the universe itself. And in this place, in the heart of your heart and the soul of your soul, you are absolutely perfect. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. You are absolutely loved, seen, beheld, loved for who you are. And from that place, just allow yourself to recognize that I love me. This isn't from outside of me, this is from inside of me. I love me. I honor who I am. I honor my path. I honor all of the missteps that got me to this place, because this is the place I need to be today. So whatever in the past led me to here, I bless it. I let it be, because it got me to this place in this moment. I deserve to love me. I deserve to have the universe love me. I celebrate who I am. And I know absolutely that I am guided and led on this life journey into everything that is unfolding before me. This path is divinely ordered, and I am ready to love myself into these next steps in my life. feel the little child at the core of your being held and loved by the you that is sitting there in your heart. You're just loving that little you that is so perfect and so wanting to be loved and seen and held. And from this heart space, allow yourself to claim whatever your intention is for this unfolding brand new baby year. Allow yourself to hold it as dear and precious as you are. Allow yourself to see yourself being successful in this intention, seeing it manifest in beautiful ways in your health, in your consciousness, in your well-being, in your physicality, in your spirituality, unfolding beautifully. I love me. I love the me that is unfolding right now. And gather around you all of the sweetness of this feeling. And allow this image to fade and begin to bring yourself back into this room's awareness. But bringing with you the dearness of who you are, the sweetness of who you are. I think the ginger in the room is really sweet. So I'm very open to having some questions and answers, or just sharing about where you are and how all of this has landed on you.
I have a comment. This was a story a teacher shared with us at some workshop or something. We're talking about changing habits and neurons and patterns and things. And it was about Oprah Winfrey. And they asked Oprah, this was when she had her TV show and everything, and then she was always going on a diet, off a diet. And he said, well, why do you go to the gym every day? She said, well, because I don't want to have a fat butt. And, that was a going away from behavior. Whereas they asked her, well, why do you do your show? Oh, I just love the people I meet. I learn so many interesting things. So that's that going towards behavior. And I've used that in my life, and it really makes a huge difference. Instead of, I don't want to, I want to.
This is what I want. This, I'm going to replace it with this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I changed my diet to a plant-based diet, and I just don't buy dairy anymore. I don't buy eggs, and I don't have sugar in my house. Well, I have table sugar, but I don't have like sweets, ice cream, and all that.
And how does that serve you?
It helps me feel better about myself. And for sweets, I do like fresh raspberries, organic raspberries.
So that's an intention for yourself and for the planet. So that taking that bigger perspective is, I'm doing this for me, but I'm also doing this because this takes a little bit of the load out of the world.
I'm still stuck on this thing about delayed gratification. Because, the urge to do something, like if I'm stress is what it does. To me, it's like at nighttime, if I make a rule I'm not going to eat anything after dinner, I can hold that pretty well. But when I'm stressed, I just want to eat crackers. And I don't measure out the crackers, I just eat them out of the bag. And the thing that struck me as you talked about this is, it doesn't help. Because when you finish a bag of crackers, you still feel stressed, and then you feel worse because you just ate stuff,
You didn't want to eat.
But I'm not so sure what the interruption is. I was thinking about it. Would it be to eat a handful of nuts and then go read a good book? You know what I mean? Like, you talk about the substituting the behavior, because that can be a hard one for me. And I don't keep a lot of junk in the house, but
What about drinking water? A lot of times when we want to eat, it's
Yeah.
because we're dehydrated,
Yeah,
and if we
true.
just drink water.
true, it doesn't quite have the satisfaction of the crunchy
Yeah.
cracker, but yes.
I guess the thing I would suggest, Kimberly, is that if you can step back to de-stressing yourself.
Yeah,
Before it gets to the level of like, oh, I gotta eat this right now.
yeah, a walk or
Go for a walk,
yoga, yeah.
meditate, do
Yeah.
something before you get to that part of the day where it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't care, I deserve it.
Well, it's about reward. If eating crackers is your reward, and you have that in your head that it's your reward, then that's what you're going for,
Yeah.
you know?
But the problem is, Kathy Mary, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't end up being a reward.
Right.
At the moment it is.
The moment
right?
it feels like it.
I sometimes call
Oh,
somebody,
that's good.
That's a good connection.
That's good.
because
Help.
that's really what I need. That's what I'm needing, is connection.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
So I work a lot with this kind of stuff. I help people with stress management and lifestyle changes. And we know that changing neural pathways in the brain, you can actually run the plays. It's like the basketball plays running the plays, and that starts to rewire the brain when you're not in that like moment of truth where you have to go get the crackers. So managing your stress, as you said, on a day-to-day basis, but actually as part of meditation is running the plays of the patterns that you want to create will start to create those grooves. And then when you're in that like moment of reactive, you're able to sort of step back and you start questioning it.
Yeah.
You know, so
You've
that's
got a new neural
great-
pathway to go down.
Absolutely. And then of course, as you said though, because stress is what creates mindlessness,
Yeah.
and mindfulness is helping us to create. So that could be the biggest.
Yes.
I mean, I teach emotional freedom techniques, which I'll be here next week.
Awesome.
But that's been
I'm like, why isn't she
that's
standing up here?
been-
Okay, she's gonna stand here next.
That's been evidence-based how it actually de-stresses. And there's lots of meditation, there's lots of ways that you can rewire the brain so that it could be your friend rather than be struggling with that. I just wanted to add that.
Is it tapping you're talking about?
Yeah.
Cool.
Somebody else had their hand up a minute ago.
Kathy Gray?
Let's see, yeah, I can get, if I'm really stressed and if I'm having emotions that I'm trying to eat, I figured out I was eating my emotions an awful lot in my life. It's almost like I'm jonesing for a drug. I feel terrible if I've got to, and there's like no choice in the matter.
That's what it feels like.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't even have to be something delicious, they just have to have something. So it doesn't work not to have sugar in the house.
Yeah, some of this is controlling the environment. But what she's saying is actually a very good strategy, is like play it out in advance. Like, what am I gonna do in this moment? What's the thing that I will do instead?
Yeah,
It
tapping
is
is
the
powerful.
dopamine that you're looking for. So it is a drug.
It is a
takes
drug.
over your body. And so there are chemical ways where you can sort of change the hormonal environment of your body so it gets easier to say no to those things. Other ways of increasing dopamine. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
That's good.
exactly.
Is that, oh, sorry. Is that the only part of reality, I guess, in the sense that it couldn't be boredom, it's stress?
Well, it could be. You can definitely be boredom. So
Okay.
you can do those things out of boredom, and
Okay.
but boredom kind of leads to me into wanting some sort of dopamine fix. You know, some kind of like just juice it up a little bit. From here on,
Yeah.
that literally does do that spiking thing.
The other thing is, I was watching this show on Instagram. It's a really sweet show about this guy who's got dementia, and his son takes care of him. And he came into the room and he's like, "I'm hungry," and he's like, "Well, Dad, you already ate, you know." And he didn't remember eating, and so he was like, "Get down and feel your stomach, and sense your stomach, and see if it's hungry." And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
You know, so that's another thing, just asking, am I actually hungry, or is there another reason why I'm wanting to eat?
Well, what puzzles me is when I know that it's usually food. There's something that I want to eat because it makes me feel like a certain way, because I've conditioned myself with it. And it's hard to think of what else could make me feel that
Right,
way.
exactly. What's better than chocolate?
Ice cream.
Yeah.
I've got an extra challenge at the moment is that I've got chronic pain. I've had pain for 3 months. I've got a nerve trapped in my L4 that just can be excruciating. So I've been really, I actually want to try and find a therapist who could work specifically with, because I had such a great meditation practice, but it's difficult for me to concentrate on meditating when I'm standing up and down and trying to get comfortable. I can't, walking to the mailbox is like a real achievement right now. But I'm doing, I'm just trying to find comfort helps.
Yes.
Trying to find comfort. And also, like, connecting with other people who have chronic pain. I mean, I hope that I'm doing lots of things to work with it, but yeah, it's an extra kind of like little challenge on
It's a
top.
challenge.
So if anybody else has ideas about that, yeah.
There's the like starting to eat something because you're feeling stressed or because for whatever reason. There's that, and then I find there's also the, you make yourself a nice meal, help. It's often for me, it's the not stopping. It's like I get going, and then it just goes, and then like, oh, okay, now what? And I had great intentions for this healthy meal, but then it just.
So for me, some of that is the hour of the day. My ability to manage myself diminishes by the hour. It's especially if I eat late, then I'm just. So that again, that's like managing the environment to just go. No, you need to like plan dinner at 5, not 7. I don't know if that is true for you.
Well, it's often if I'll not eat for a long time, and then I'll be really hungry, and that's when I eat way more than I eat. That's when it just keeps going.
I think there are people nodding there.
Yeah.
You're
not the only one.
But it's like what to do to catch that, because it's like that's a different one than catching it before you start in some ways, midstream, and how to shift that stream.
Were you going to respond to her?
Not to that in particular, but it just made me think about that I've realized that for me, some of the things I've done that have not served me well is more about being at a moment of transition. And it's not like in my life, yes, I'm in transition right now, but I'm talking about a moment of transition. And it might be that I've just done cleaning something, and then it's like this moment of transition, and I think, oh, I'll get a snack, and I've realized that becomes a way to ease that moment of transition.
Exactly.
And so I've been trying to think of, so now I'm catching myself doing that, and then I'm thinking, well, what could I do instead of getting crackers? Because I love crackers too. And I don't drink hot beverages very often, but it's wintertime, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll just make myself a nice hot beverage, a cup of tea. Yeah. But it's just, I realized it was just a moment of transition is all it was. And I just felt it kind of loose ends or something.
For me, sometimes it helps to create whole ritual around that. So not just a hot water in the microwave with a tea bag in it, but really to like set up a teapot. I like my little baby Chinese teacups, to make it be a special thing. I've been at this working with my food issues for the last year and a half, and I've sort of gotten it down to like, in those that like serious moment, one ginger mint will do it. You know, just because it's strong and it just it doesn't key into anything else that I like to eat.
It doesn't key into eating the whole bag. That's
Right. It's because it's so strong. Anyway, there's.
But I'm a former smoker too, and that was why I was smoke. It was
Yeah,
a moment of transition.
I can relate to that. So I finish this task, I'm gonna go and have a cigarette.
You know what's helped me? I'm not in it right now because we just come through the holidays, and I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I did not eat very healthily for the holidays. But this whole idea of intermittent fasting, like it's better if you leave at least 13 hours between meals. So if I'm doing that, I know I can't eat late at night because then I wouldn't be able to eat breakfast or whatever, you know. And it really does help. It's like I'll eat dinner earlier and I won't snack, and it's healthy for you. So the carrot is what you're talking about. It's the body regenerates and heals, and that's been really good. But it's a habit again. It's a habit. When I'm out of the habit, I'm out of the habit. It didn't help that so many people gave us C's chocolates for Christmas.
Those are terrible people. Why would they do that?
And it's hard to just like take them out of the house.
Are they soft-scented? I don't want the nut ones, but I want the
Just drop them off at Janet's house.
It's a real mixture.
These are good.
They're really good.
One of the things that the research says is that old habits don't die. They get replaced or they get forgotten. But if when the replacement isn't there, or you know the things that you've forgotten, and there's a moment when you can just jump right back to that old behavior, like years ago.
Like you do with a cigarette.
Yeah, you know, like the whether it's and it's really why people continue to go to 12-step programs, because you can rubber band back into that old behavior in a minute, because you've built up this whole catalog of new behaviors, but the right cue hits. That whole thing, it didn't go away, it's still there. It's annoying, but that's the research says that it actually doesn't go away, it's just in hiding.
Just before coming here, I was reading a post, and this was a doctor talking, and he said that 92% of our illnesses are above the eyebrows.
Of what?
92% below
92%
the
of
eyes.
viruses are above the
Above the
eyebrows.
That's cute.
Yes.
She had a question.
Oh yeah. Okay. I think you were the one who talked about intermittent fasting. How many hours is that in between?
You know, it depends on your age, but for my age, it's 13 to 14 hours, I think it is, between dinner and breakfast.
13 and a half.
13 and a half, there you go. And then there's another step, which is 15 hours, so you might skip breakfast and eat lunch. But there's a whole set of it, and then you can fast longer. But if you Google it, there's all kinds of stuff on Facebook and on the internet about, for your age, you know, what resets the body. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, you basically either skip breakfast or you have an early dinner.
To make it last that long.
If y'all don't want to eat that food, I will.
That is not fair. Yeah, look at him.
I'm a growing.
He's just being kind and generous.
I'm a growing boy.
We appreciate
Not
you.
good to skip breakfast.
So I had a number of
I don't
conversations.
skip it, I eat it later. Well, I eat early enough at the evening. If I eat, like tonight, I really ate my dinner by 5. So by 6 or 7 in the morning, I can eat breakfast.
I was in a lot of conversations over the holidays about the new weight loss drugs and the things that they are finding about it. I mean, it's still very experimental, and I'm still skeptical because drugs are drugs. But what they're finding is, because it is a dopamine inhibitor, that's what it's doing. Is it's you know that the results are that people are drinking less, they're not smoking. They're like their other dopamine seeking behaviors are also diminished, and that's been reported pretty widely about the 2 drugs that are very much headed into I guess, out of experimental trials in the next year or so. Which has, if you think about, if that's actually true without a lot of side effects, and questions are still out there about that, then the entire addictive culture could be quickly changed. If you think about like how, hang on just a second, if you think about like how we've set up society, all of the things that are quick dopamine hits, you can get at 7-Eleven or Minute Market, you know, like you can get the alcohol, you can get the cigarettes, you can get the sugar, you can get the caffeine, you can get all the things that are easy, you know, fixes, all the chips, all the things. That's why all those fast food, you know, sort of gas stations, all of those things, they're readily available because they're the quick dopamine hit. Well, if there is a widely used drug that changes that,
Well,
I don't know, maybe they sell oranges and pineapples at the gas station.
Except there's side effects. You feel terrible.
Do you?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's a lot of conversation. My girlfriend that I spent a lot of time with during the holidays is in an experimental
oh yeah.
drug study at the University of Washington, and so she's.
What was the name of the dopamine inhibitor?
I don't remember the name because I'm not good at drugs, but there's two.
What is
One that starts with the letter
Two new
O.
ones.
Ozempic and.
Ozempic.
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 That's been around for other reasons.
But there's
There's,
two.
there's a new one that is all over Facebook.
Yeah.
Have you seen Kelly Clarkson, pictures of Kelly Clarkson
Yeah.
recently? All over Facebook, there's some gummy that they're selling now that I don't know what it is, but she looked great in her picture.
You know, Oprah's doing it. You know, Roseanne Barr's doing it. There's a thing out there
I wonder
about
what
it.
Oprah was doing.
Yeah, that's what she's doing. She's doing one of those experimental drugs.
Oh.
Is she feeling okay on the drug?
You know, when she talked to me yesterday, I don't know.
So I read this really scary article about a child actually being given these drugs. And I think drugs have their place, but I do think that our body's natural, like God created us to have, like there's natural ways of raising our dopamine. That we can even if we didn't have a childhood where our parents taught us to delay gratification,
We can learn that.
and epigenetics, we are really not a product of our environment. We can actually organically change. It takes work. It's not as easy as getting a shot or taking a pill. But we also not only change it for ourselves, we change it for future generations. Rather than, it's scary to me how like the quick fixes and I've worked with people that have had barometric, and then they still had 100 pounds to lose again
Right,
because
'cause they
it
gained it back,
wasn't
yeah.
really addressing the deeper reason. And so all of these, there's natural ways to get our dopamine fix, to raise our serotonin, to move from, like I was thinking for me also the transitions, it's like, well, I'm setting an intention, it's like I'm going to play music to move into my transitions because music just makes me feel good. And there's certain music and that replacing is a great reminder to just, like where are my areas that I want to tweak.
I like the music.
I like the
I like
music.
the music.
Yeah,
It would work for me.
Back here in the corner.
I was just going to say I really liked all the suggestions you made, and I feel like what you've said helps me a lot with this idea of making a new resolution, the cues and the interruption. I did want to ask if you knew that with the marshmallow test, they did release the information that most of the people who couldn't delay gratification came from poorer backgrounds.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
No, I did not read that.
and they found out that it was really related to the fact that their parents were always like, well, when they had a tiny bit of money, they gave their kids a reward right away because they never knew if they were going to have more money later.
Well, or if that marshmallow sits there too long, somebody's gonna grab it.
Right? A lot of kids when you're family, like,
Yeah.
just leave it sit there.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was an interesting thing.
Thank you.
That's the other thing, the childhood issues, we didn't really talk about that, but I had this moment when I was in Minnesota and I was walking with my leftover food and I slipped and fell and it dropped on the sidewalk. And I just immediately felt this emotion of grief. And I realized that I never really got fed enough when I was a kid. And I always thought you never waste food. You always eat the food, and but then I had to like tell myself, you know what? You haven't went hungry, now that you're an adult.
Right?
You have plenty of food. And so you don't have to eat all your food like you used to.
Well,
What a miraculous event.
I wanted to add to that because I've been trying to just starting to do some inner child work, and I think that's part of it is, you had that experience, which was external and internal both. But like for me, I also would like to get more rest. And I've realized it's my inner child that keeps me up late at night, does not want to go.
I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to go to bed.
Yeah, and so
Little
I've just
FOMO
been
there,
working on some conversations there. But I mean, I think that's that.
There's a
part of
name
it.
for it. I just met with my coach. The name for it is sleep hygiene. My sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something, Jen?
Oh, I just wanted to add to the singing that movement and dance is a good interrupter as well. Even if it's just like some silly movement, it's a really good interrupter.
And it's also exercise.
I'm really appreciating all the suggestions because I realize for me, exercise has always been a great de-stressor and dopamine enhancer. And I tore my meniscus this summer, and I still can't do yoga. I still can't do my step class. It's driving me crazy. But all the other things I could be doing, I could be playing music. I could be dancing, Jenna. In a certain way. I mean,
Come to water aerobics with me. I'd love that.
I can't even do that. I tried it. It hurts. But there are things I could. The replacement thing I think is really, really good.
Yeah.
I like that.
It doesn't have to be with like kind. It can be,
Something that just puts you in a good mood.
The other thing I wanted to mention was there's a Chinese clock that happens in the middle of the night when you're sleeping, and all your organs get purified and detoxified and renewed. So it is really critical, like, to go to bed at around 10 o'clock and get a good amount of sleep because your body really needs that rest.
While I was away over the holidays, I slept in a room that had a white noise machine, which I had never slept with before, and I slept like a rock. I had to go get one of those.
All you need is an app on your phone.
Yeah,
App on your phone.
I also send you.
No, the phone has to be in the
Yeah,
other
the
room.
phone's in the other room.
I sleep somewhere
I
else.
could have Wi-Fi for
I
this.
was gonna say, you should put a speaker in there.
Right,
Phone in the other room. I think our Wi-Fi should be off at night. I think that's another thing that isn't good for
I
us.
think that's good. Yeah, get rid of your
Airplane mode and
All right, I'm going to wind this up. One more. Joy gets to speak.
Yes.
I'm going to bring this to
So,
a close.
there was a period of my life where I was wanting to lose 20 pounds, thereabouts. And what I did was I would have my supper, and I would feel very satisfied with what I ate. And then I would go and I would brush my teeth. Because part of what I wanted was another taste. I wanted the taste of the chocolate.
What do you brush my teeth?
Yeah, so I would brush my teeth, and that's my signal, usually at nighttime, you don't eat anything else after that. And then if later on another hour or two would go by and I'd want something else to eat again, I would go and brush my teeth.
I like that.
Good
All right, thank you so much.
Thank
you.